This is the Azza Cast, and like every other PC, it's been sitting on a shelf for months waiting for a GPU. Thankfully, we finally get to building it, and I think this one's gonna be a lot of fun since this case is crazy unconventional. Look at this. There's no thumb screws back here because there's no side panels to remove. Well, okay, there's one side panel, but you don't remove it. What you do remove is my segue to our sponsor from my mouth. This video is brought to you by Build Redux. Build Redux creates PCs for gamers who want to win and who want high frame rates without breaking the bank. It's backed by a 2-year parts and labor warranty, so you're covered, and you can click the link in the description to start creating your PC today. The most obvious thing about the cast is the DeLorean-esque hinged lid. And novelty aside, I actually really like how much access you get to the case with this thing. The only thing that I think would be better is if they offered a clear version so you could have like a little kind of PC greenhouse in there. In terms of front I/O, we've got USB-C, USB Type-A, along with audio here in the front, and the top panel isn't the only trick that the cast brings to the table. The basement actually unfolds as well, but clearly we can't do that with it standing up, so we gotta put it down like this. Wow! I mean, you could just do all the things. That is super cool, right? Ooh, there it goes. That's even better. You have complete 360-degree access to the entire internals of the case, and hilariously, Azza figured, you know what? Not enough access. Watch this. You remove these 5 screws that are marked with little gray areas, and watch this. That way. The whole frame just comes out of the outer shell, which you can then put away. Oh, thank you for that. And now you can build it completely open. And then the whole thing will just clip back into place. That way you can put stuff like a hard drive here on the back of the motherboard tray and do all your cable management. Look at these awesome cable management loops. I am liking this thing. Gotta say, Azza is one of those companies that I just had always been kind of dismissive of because a lot of their earlier stuff was not very good. Uh-oh, I found a QC error. Jeffrey from QC tried to fix that up for us. Actually, that looks like it probably happened during the painting or powder coating process. Now, seeing as we're working with a white case, we opted for a mostly white build for, you know, that aesthetic. But something that we noticed while we were getting everything ready is that the case isn't really that white. See, if you look at it next to almost any other white thing, it looks kind of pink. Can you guys see that? For our motherboard, we've gone with a premium but not outrageous model from GIGABYTE. This is their X570S AERO G, and it's a more creator-centric board, which usually just means it looks stylish, but in this case, it actually has at least one feature that might be more creator-centric. So I'm not used to seeing a DisplayPort input on the back of a monitor unless it's got Thunderbolt, because what you'd want to do is you'd want to take your powerful dedicated graphics card, run a little loopback cable into the motherboard, and then inject that high performance DisplayPort signal into your Thunderbolt port if you wanted to, you know, connect to a dock that was 50 meters away or something like that. In this case, it appears to be injecting into one of the regular USB 3.2 Type-Cs. So in a nutshell, if you had a supported monitor or dock, it would allow you to have both USB-C and full fat DisplayPort functionality with the performance of your onboard GPU from that single connector. So it's like kind of like poor man's Thunderbolt. You could think of it that way. It's got 2.5 gigabit LAN as well as 4 M.2 slots, and I think that's about it for creator-centric features. So I guess, yeah, it's got a lot of USB. For our CPU, we've gone with the Ryzen 7 5800X. It's got 8 cores, 16 threads, nearly the same gaming performance as its higher-end brethren, but just half as many cores as the top-tier Ryzen 5000. And honestly, it's a great choice if you don't absolutely need a ton of threads for your particular workload. And we are humming along with this access. 32 gigs of G.SKILL 3600 megatransfer per second CL14 memory. Doesn't quite match the color scheme of the build, but from a performance standpoint, this is exactly where you want to be with Ryzen 5000. For storage, I'm not sure quite when or how this happened, but M.2 drives have gotten so affordable that you can actually take a two-tiered approach to your storage setup with all NVMe devices. So we're going to be using a P5 Plus Gen 4 SSD for our boot drive. So we'll go ahead and throw that in the top slot, which is using lanes directly connected to the CPU, full Gen 4 speeds. Then we're going to throw a P2 2TB drive in one of our other 3 freaking NVMe slots on this motherboard. Under this M.2 heatsink, looks like we're pulling all of them off at this point. Check this out, Brandon. They've just got a socketed Wi-Fi slot. So you actually put another SSD over top of that if you want, and that's cool too. You can put up to 4 110mm SSDs in this board. What's interesting about that from a creator standpoint is that the highest capacity and in some cases highest performance drives can end up being 110mm long, like we saw with Intel's Optane M.2s. For our power supply, we went with a pretty obvious choice for a white themed build. This is the Prime Snow Silent Titanium from Seasonic. Crazy efficient, super quiet, and white. You know, what do you want me to say? 750 watts, which should be enough for our system since we're not going to be using a 30 series GPU. Talk a little bit more about that later. Let's get this installed. Oh, okay, so here's how it goes in. Everything about this case is super unconventional. I could take this basement shroud off, or I could put it in here. Is that? Yep. Can I do that? No, I can't do that. Okay, it looked like I could do that. Look, I think I can be forgiven for thinking that I could do that. Let's pull this off. Whoa. I have to have it pointing up? Oh. The instructions say fan pointed up. Well, I mean, this is one of those situations where normally I prefer not to have the power supply fan pointed up because it means that it's sucking in hot, recirculated air from, in particular, around the GPU. But in this case, I mean, it's so open, I guess it doesn't really matter. Oops. I sincerely regret that this thing ships with black cables, but that's on Seasonic. That's not on me. And man, is it ever easy to cable manage this thing. Got our 24 pin here, got our pre-run cables for the graphics card here, got our 8 pin up here, and check this out. They've got these giant Velcro tie or zip tie loops back here that just make it super, super easy to get everything strapped down into place. So I'm thinking we'll do it kind of like that. And now it's time to mess it up with all the RGB crap that's going to be on our cooler. This is the H150i Elite Capellix. It's got super nice RGB, and more importantly than that, it uses Corsair's Maglev ML series fans. Triple radiators, so we'll be able to keep that 5800X nice and cool. And we're gonna go ahead and install it in this orientation. This case can accommodate either a 280 or a 360 mil rad, at least in theory it can. Uh-oh. Azza might have just committed a water cooling sin here. There's not enough room for the tank. We can get away with this if we put the fans here and use them as intakes in order to improve the clearance. I really don't like doing that because it's worse for maintenance, but for a show build, I guess we can do that, and I would like to see the revised version of this case with just like this much more clearance, especially because it's the kind of thing that you could probably fix with a Dremel in like 10 minutes. Also, unfortunately, this appears to be one of the older style coolers that comes with the clip style mount for AMD. I mean, they're not terrible, they're just more finicky than the newer mechanisms. The thing that's kind of baffling to me is the design of this fan. The case is quite open air to the point where it could easily be sort of, you know, pulling air from even outside of the case kind of around it. So even though it's open, there are some serious question marks for me in terms of actual real world performance. You know what I really would have liked to do in this case is one of my classic tricks. Okay, so what I used to do back when cable management sucked, in most cases you didn't have any holes up here or anything like that, is I used to take this fan and I'd run it right under the motherboard. I'd just kind of pin it under the motherboard at the back, and then I'd bring it out to the side or the top or the bottom or wherever it needed to go. And seeing this here, I really wish I had done that. Now I know this doesn't look very nicely cable managed, but this is a bit of a different strategy than I would usually have. What I'm focused on here is hiding everything from this side. So I'm trying to get everything wrapped up as tightly as possible so that we don't catch it sort of running across these open gaps in the chassis. All right. Yeah, we finally got the GPU. I wish I could tell you it's something cooler than it is. This is actually a 2080 Ti. And the reason that we're using a last gen GPU is because there's, even here at the office, a bit of a shortage of modern high-end GPUs, especially white ones. So this was it. All of our 30 series stuff of this class is in our editing stations or tied up in other projects. So that's what we're using. No, it's fine there. This is safe. All right, now there's a little support bracket doodad here that I'm kind of trying to figure out right now. What is this boy doing? Oh, is it a vertical mount? Oh, cool, it's a vertical mount. Oh, I like it. Okay, sold. Let's do a vertical mount. Oh, do we have a PCIe riser? Oh, we'll just go grab one. Oh yeah, that's freaking awesome. Okay, we've got a bit of an interference issue with our USB Type-C over there. Okay, yeah, this is great. So here's where it goes in, right, oh, well, there apparently. Okay, now hold on a second. Wait, how the devil are you supposed to, oh, interesting. You have to do this. The GPU slides into the case, the sequel. You can't put this in from this way, and you can't screw it in unless the GPU is already on it. So you have to slide it in from the back. We just did a video called "The GPU Slides into This Case," and so now we've done it again. This is great. I was worried that we'd be able to see my mess of cables back here through these gaps, but actually the GPU is going to cover all of it. Oh, and I didn't even put the power supply shroud on yet. Oh, it's a cable cover shroud. Okay, all the cable management concerns I had were totally invalid, 100%, because there's a freaking basement cover. So clean. Enough to forgive the pink hue. It's really noticeable when there's shadows cast on it. Can you see that? Like how pink it is? Oh, no, it's not as pink as that. Oh, right. I was about to do an lttstore.com for the toque, but you can't actually buy that. So you gotta pick up the gamer hoodie. Available in aqua or gray. Let's just see if my cable management is gonna survive. I've got a big thing right where it needs to go. You know what? Maybe I can get it in. Ooh. Ooh. Is that it? Oh yeah, I think we got it. One door closed. Two doors closed. That's pretty cool. Or you could go with just like the half kind of cocked open. Look, this is where a lot of my cooling questions come in, because you got just this little tiny gap along the side for these 320 millimeter fans to bring in air. Great mechanism for attaching to the front, but that is, You can get a mesh front. There's a mesh front. Okay, well that would almost definitely be an improvement. Still, it might get enough to deal with just the CPU. And if this GPU is just grabbing fresh air directly from freaking outside, I mean, it might be okay. Now, I know you guys want to see the thermal results, but before I do that, I want to take a moment to appreciate that, a couple of RGB configuration issues aside, this thing looks freaking awesome. Like, if you want the open frame experience, but with the aesthetics of a closed case and the cable management of a closed case, this is basically the bee's freaking knees, which isn't to say that it's without problem. First and foremost, I gotta point out that it is extremely susceptible to the temperature of the air around the system. Even walking past it can generate a measurable change in the temperature of your GPU, but that's actually good news because GPU temps were freaking awesome, and our theory that it would mostly pull fresh air from this giant gap in the side of the case did hold up. Obviously, this is going to have some negative impact on the dustiness of your machine, but from a performance standpoint, it's great. Interestingly, one of our compatriots, Gear Seekers, who's on Floatplane, by the way, you guys can check them out there, also tested this case with the GPU in its horizontal configuration, and they too found a very small but measurable difference between having it open versus having it closed. I think this orientation ended up being a little bit better, but it's also a little bit more work, and it's going to cost you about $75 to $80 US for a Gen 4 riser cable. What's not great from a performance standpoint is the fact that our CPU was up near 90 degrees with a triple 120mm AIO cooler. I don't know what to say about that other than you better get yourself a mesh front panel, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a marked difference almost immediately here. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 90.4 degrees on a 5800X. Give it a sec. You like to breathe? How you liking breathing? It's not going down. Is that just how hot this particular chip runs? 90.5. Okay, well. Neat case. Neat sponsor. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Do you think making a website is hard? Well, it doesn't have to be. If you use Squarespace, you'll have your website up and running in a matter of hours. Maybe even faster than that. They've got award-winning templates that'll help make your website stand out instead of looking like it's from the 90s. And if you're interested in how your website is doing, they have built-in tools to help you find out what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Both our Linus Media Group and LTX Expo websites were built quickly using Squarespace. And if you ever get stuck, they have a 24/7 support team that is ready to help you out. So go to squarespace.com/LTT to get started, and you can get 10% off today. If you guys enjoyed this video, maybe check out our weirdest PC parts we found on AliExpress, or maybe the actual pyramid PC we built for an undisclosed client. JK, it was dbrand. They're awful. Brandon, roll the camera again. We dropped 0.4 degrees. Ow. All right, it's back up 0.1.